masking tape.
Like it's toilet paper.
And staplers, you know, even though I say we only use 3 staples, well, one little boy that has like 20 staples on one, and I'm like, okay, that works, honey. But he's so proud of his book, you know, because he got to staple those pages together, and he'd been working for 2 weeks on this book, and he got to staple it together, and he doesn't want me to staple it, he wants to staple it. It's fantastic. It's exciting. And it's, I don't know, like when I think about all the staples, sometimes they go through, but it's worth it because they want it, and it gives them that ownership of it too.
The other thing that you might want to keep in mind is that it's a place where kids are going to come and go, come and go, come and go kind of thing. So you probably don't want to have it right back here in the corner, because you're going to have 3 kids and 15 that are just like doing all that. So that's another, like, a spot that they can get it and move on.
I had a really small room. I only had 16 kids, but it wasn't fit for 16 children. So it was really small, and I mean, our desks and everything were so close together. And so it was in a space where, you know, here was the wall, here was where we had everything, and then there was a desk like right here. So they had to walk in and out, and it was really the only place I could put it. And that's what it was. They were almost just bumping into each other, but it was what I had to do in that little room. It just wasn't ideal.
And then that's maybe where a person explores the table supplies. And that's another thing that she points out in this section, is that we just really need to think beyond the norms. They talked about taking the legs off the tables and getting them down on the ground and using pillows to eliminate all the chairs. Yeah. So
I think just playing around and being flexible. You know, I've gone through everything from having 32 kids in a classroom and no space, and I did that. Another teacher next to me had gotten rid of chairs. It was 2nd grade. She goes, I just got rid of chairs. Half of them stand anyway. I was like, all right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, they actually loved it. And then they had a clipboard and they sat on the floor when they wanted to, or they stood. And it was amazing how I had no chairs in the room and how my room felt 10 times bigger all of a sudden. And then I've done, you know, last year I finally got rid of desks and did tables. And I did the table, and that was 4th grade, so it was different. But I did the table centers. And at that point, I didn't give them a lot of tools because I knew those drawers would go crazy. So literally there was pencils. It was a little round spinny thing that you put kitchen utensils in.
I think
And it was just pencils and very simple stuff and the little mini staplers. And I found them really cheap, so actually I got enough for each person. So they all had their like little tiny miniature stapler. And it worked really, really well. And that year I actually didn't even have to assign. It was like this, where we came and sat when we wanted to. And it's amazing how I never would have done that. And I wouldn't have done it. You know, just every year is different.
And would you, but in all of that choice and element, I bet they had a dependable structure, they knew the expectation. When we get that stuff established, those other things can roll safely and functionally.
And then you have bigger rooms too, or less space when you're only like 18 kids. And so I had a little more room, and I actually set up 2 of those little tiny centers where there was a little section over there, a little section over this. That side of the room grabbed the writing stuff on this side, this one grabbed it, and then it was so fast. So just every year is so different, and your kids are different. Sometimes you can let them pick their seat, and you know sometimes
you can't. Or sometimes little Johnny just can't have that privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
So every year it's
So you
something
gotta
different.
roll with it. Oh, nice. Nice discussion.
That's all on material.
So then we're gonna move into material.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay. Are you want go by half all of them? All right, I'm gonna do a bit of a model lesson for you, and I'm gonna kind of shape the writing part up. I would typically write. When I do this lesson, I would start, and maybe I would just review if we had done quick sketch, or if we had done know about, care about. I would, as I write, I would model my thinking, and I would do all of those sorts of things. But the goal of this lesson would be to introduce them to folders. Initially, you won't, like, I would suggest that when, I know as teachers I want to have it all laid out, ready to go, but I would suggest that you don't necessarily have their folders prepped and ready to go for the first day, because you can't throw, this is writing, this is your folder, this is this, you can't throw them all at them at once, little pieces. So that they can take it in and enjoy it and process it. So as you start into your writing and you decide how you want to manage your papers, or not your papers, but the child's, student's writing, you will do a lesson on various materials, not just folders, but pens and papers and the whole 9 yards, how to use the center. But today I'm going to model for you what it would look like if I was introducing folders. Allie and I, because Oliver, we try to be really good about pulling things when we're packing, thinking we might use that in class. I didn't pull a folder. But what our folders basically look like.
I think there's a
again,
picture, kind
Oh
of.
yeah, here again, it's totally a personal preference. And what works for us might not work at all for you. What we did was we took a basic folder, and if you look at the front of your book, this is exactly what my kids'
The
folder looked like.
launching, the purple one, the launching one.
It had their name, I mean, I literally copied that. It would say Ethan's writing folder. That big sticker was on the front of their folder. And then for my K kids, I had the stickers from Handwriting Without Tears that just showed the alphabet. This is the reference piece. Again, they will never use it unless you teach them to use it. They will never remember it. It will just be a sticker on their deal. Inside, I would take and put, I used a marker this time, I had this morning. We would put a green sticker on one side, and a red sticker on the other side. Looks like this teacher, well, this is a special teacher folder, so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we would get the folders with prongs so that we could use these sleeves to insert any sort of resource that might be useful to the kids. Don't put it in there if you're not going to teach them to use it and it's just stuff, like don't bother because it really needs to be useful, or just don't waste anybody's time, especially yours.
So we had an alphabet chart on one side of it, just to start off with. And it had like the A and then a picture of an apple or something, just so they could get that beginning sound reference. And then the other side we did an alpha box. And we were not good about switching it out. Like it would have been very useful for us to switch it out as the year went on, but we didn't.
The other thing, I think it's easy for us to buy into all the wordy little cute charts that come out, and Pinterest is loaded with them. But there again, they're wordy and cute for us, but maybe not so useful for your students. So if you can somehow make them useful to your students, by all means. If it's a checklist or something that they can refer to and you're going to teach them through that, great. But otherwise, don't put it in there because it's cute.
So one suggestion that I like more than one suggestion. But that the kids' names, either on the wall someplace, which we're really not allowed to do, or the kids' name in there so that they can, without looking at it, we have to go to somebody's desk to find out how to.
Oh, yeah. I have to share with you something that Allie and I started, and we wouldn't be without the name cards. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to use back this folder because I have it. Here, I can. Every year, we know how important name is to our kids, and if they will link with no other text or writing, they will link with names because it is so highly important to them. So we, at the beginning of the year, make a little card. They're probably no bigger than this. So everybody takes pictures of their kids the first day so that you have those headshots to use for whatever project it may be. We drop that little headshot on the card, use the Handwriting Without Tears lines, and so it's a little picture of Joe and Joe's name. And we will print out a page of Joe. And then we will laminate them and stick them in WordWork, in the writing, just so that they always have reference to their friends' names. They love this. They will go to this for WordWork at the beginning of the year because, like I said, if they can't connect with sight words or any of that, they can connect with name. And the cool thing about it is at the end of the year, then you have like these 20 Joe cards or whatever. So I give Joe all of his cards, I give Susie all of her cards, and then they do a card swap. So they go, and it's just, it's a piece that we wouldn't be without because our kids love to be able to see and work with their friends' names.
Even at the end of the year, they still wanted those in WordWork. They still wanted them. They just want to write their friend's name.
And they're pertinent because at some point, it goes from their name and learning their, it serves a purpose that way. We learn one another's names and putting those sounds and things together. And then at some point, you're writing letters. So it's really important to know your friends' names. Or we're writing notes to people. I have a couple examples of notes over there. And the kids write to each other all the time. Use the name card.
That is a good idea though, like in that sleeve, to have maybe a whole page of a picture with their friend's name, a picture of their friend's name. That'd be a good
I
idea.
would love it.
You created a template that you were able to.
No, we actually, mine were a little bigger than yours. Mine were about this big, and I just took the handwriting without tier strip paper and wrote their name and cut it.
Oh.
And then I cut it. That's how I did it, but
Then
mine
you
were
had to- you
bigger.
had to glue all your pictures on it.
Only one, and then I used the Follow Me printer and I copied them.
Oh.
And then I copied the rest of them on the
I'll
card
see if I
Does that
can
make sense?
find
I
mine
know.
that I
I
created,
also
because
there's
then you could totally just drop it in your
Maybe, we'll
pictures
see if
and
we can find
names.
it.
Name.
Okay,
I know I don't write it down, it's in the water, but I write it down. I'm just gonna put NC for name.
And this that we found, I found this on Pinterest, and it was a good picture of what the inside of ours looked like. But I thought this was so neat because I always keep my writing on my chart like this all the time. But I found this, and this teacher made a giant folder for herself, so that when she was done with it, okay, I'm not done, I want to finish this tomorrow, she would put it on the green side, like just even to show your kids that it matters to you. I don't just have it on this big thing of paper that I have to flip through to find. It's important to me, and I put it in a folder too. Thought that was so neat.
That's cool.
Anyways,
And yeah, that, because we're always demoing on, typically demoing on big paper. And you do refer back, and your kids refer back, and sometimes you build on, like this, I would love to go back in here and add interesting words, or there's,
you can
To
add
model,
a picture.
Yeah.
if you're doing the 6th trait, to
Yes.
model word choice, to go back,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
yes, and then it would always, so, okay. All right, so if I were, excuse me, teaching this lesson, like I said, I would still model a writing piece. And I might just briefly touch on, watch me as I write, watch me as I think, and all of that. And then I would launch into Writers Today, something very exciting. We are going to have a special place to put all of that writing and all of your stories that you have been working so hard on. It's important to keep those things, girls and boys, because sometimes we have more to add to our stories. Sometimes we get done with the story and we just really need a safe place to keep it. So girls and boys, we are all going to get folders, and our folders are going to look like this. They're going to have your name on them, and when you open them up, you're going to see a green dot, and I probably wouldn't even have anything in there to begin with, and a red dot. These dots tell us a message. This green dot tells us that we're going to put all the stories that we aren't finished with on this side, and we're going to put the stories that we are finished with on this side. Girls and boys, let's practice that. If I am all done with this story, I wonder if I should put it on the red side or the green side. Why don't you turn and tell your thinking partner which side you think Mrs. Wright should put that story on if I'm all done with that story. And now if I had this giant ticket folder, I do too. I know, it's brilliant, isn't it? Yes, and how many times do you? So I would model it, then I would say, watch me as I very neatly place this in to my red side of my folder. And girls and boys, it's so important. I have worked so hard on this. I need to take good care of it. So I don't want it crumpled, and ripped, and yucky, so I can never enjoy my story again. I want to really take care of it. So I'm going to fold it nicely and slide it into my folder. These folders, girls and boys, are going to stay, and then that's up to you. If you have them organized by table, my kids had them in their chair pockets, that sort of thing. And I would also very much elaborate on modeling how they put it in their chair pocket. We didn't put things in our chair pocket like this, because that would mess up our nice folder system. We always put it with the closed side up, so that our papers could stay neat. And every now and then, they'll have Johnny's big fat mess over here, and then I would just say, ooh, take care of your writing papers like we talked about. As always, let's go check and make sure that we're really taking care of our writing papers. Check your folders. Could be a message to me that it's time to also go through them. But either way, so writers, today, when we are done writing, we're going to decide if you are done with your piece and you will put it in the red side, or if you think you might have more to add to that story, and then you'll put it in the green side. Give me a thumbs up if you think you'll be able to do that today, writers. And then we go into our thinking time for topics.
Do you keep like portable word wall or anything in your folders?
You could. Like there again, it's totally the read of your kids. Allie and I were talking about that, like we love that idea.
Or is it too much? You know, but I'm thinking,
Right, you have to decide.
the ones I wanted to make are, they're actually 4 pockets. I was thinking I wanted 4 pockets, but is that too much? You know, one to be like where your word wall is.
I would think any sort of references just go with this, and then you don't have to monkey with more of that. Because this is totally manageable for them. This will get sloppy and they'll have to think about it and have to revisit it. And if you added more pockets, then you're adding more of that kind of thing. But I think your reference to the word wall and that sort of thing, like there's people that have them where you can go and pull words off. That's not a comfortable place for me. My kids were very good at, we had our heart words, so all the words were posted, because that was another debate we struggled with. Do you only post the words you know? What does that do for your kids that already know 15 more? Or are looking for, right. So our decision was that you post all, and then as you learn them, we would highlight, and we called them heart words, so then there was a little heart placed by them. So visually, kids that wanted to look for a word we learned, that heart was a tracker for them. But definitely, especially with this last year's, or my last year's group, they were using that whole all the time. And I sometimes thought, oh my, what was it, 70 words? Yeah. So just like looking at the busyness of that, you think, oh my gosh, how's a kindergartner gonna decipher? But they did. They did. They did.
And
And
we
there were
didn't
things
even
going-
have like A, like the letter A, and then everything under A, we just put them up. But they were A's, but they were all mixed in, and
They
like
did
even
it.
our lowest kids got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they referenced it all the time. And a lot of times it was led by your higher kids at your table, like it's there, I can't see it. And then they would get up and they'd go point to it for little Johnny or Joey, and I suppose they could have pulled it off, it's just tic-tac or fun-tac or whatever you call it. So they could have had that option, I never gave it to them, but
So they weren't ABC with the label, but they were in ABC order.
yes, yes.
That's just how we
Takes
did
up
it. There's
one,
nothing wrong.
takes up
Right.
less room.
Well, see, that's what I struggled with, I had to get all those sticking words up there, and when I tried to put the letters in, I couldn't put them in neatly or not make them feel somehow awkward or disjointed in it.
Because you would want it to be like A and then B across, you know what I mean? You want it to be organized, but you, we couldn't do it, so we're like, scratch that. Right, yeah. Yeah. It was a lot of words, but
need to
they
have the room.
handled it. And that's, if you're doing a word wall where they can pull off, that's great, but there again, has to be, like mine were probably too high, they couldn't have. You're talking a whole nother thing, and then if you put them low, are they visible?
Yeah, so they're definitely.
Or are they not? I don't know, so many things to think about, but there again, what works for you? It's not right or wrong.
There's another thing I did with the word walls. I would have them on rings by units, and then I have a little handle bag, and they have those in their book boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I did keep sight words on rings too,
And they did.
and they would
used
go and get
both.
them, yeah.
They use both.
Yeah, they would reference those as well.
So did you have a card of A and a card of B? Or did you
No,
have a
oh.
card for each word?
My partner made them up, she did them by the units, and each unit was a different color, but,
And that could potentially all change this
yeah,
year.
yeah.
So by the reading unit 1, unit 2.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're
So
coming there
next
and
year
show
it'll probably
the
be
fourth
different.
grade.
Deb, what were you gonna say?
One of the kindergarten teachers that I work with did all of hers down below the bulletin board height. And so the alphabet was up, so it distinguished areas where words that began with A would be. So they were in those areas, but they were on magnetic strips. And the kids just went up and pulled them off the wall, took them over, wrote down what they were, as they were doing their writing. And they were all the high frequency words because they're the most commonly viewed words.
I know, it's beautiful, that's the beauty of those
Yeah.
words.
And so, and that's why when I referenced that wood and wood yesterday,
Yeah.
that was what they were using, was that portable word wall. And then she had another section, like if she was teaching a genre of poetry, and then she had her science terms up in another section. And they were writing poetry because sometimes they had a choice about their writing genre, and they would head over to write poetry using some of those science terms, and or onomatopoeia. I mean, they just really
and I
could
think-
access that.
What I've heard you say is that, again, whatever you choose or however you choose, you just need to be very explicit in teaching your children then how to use those tools. We can't expect ever that they know, but if we say, it's a great science word, and science words can go in your writing too, they're gonna do it.
And the other piece to that is that we need to think, we do so many things to be visually appealing as adults.
Yes.
And very frankly, young children have a hard time visually tracking from up here and then relaying that information to this location.
Yeah.
So if they're not low enough that they can go up and stand next to it with their paper and copy directly from it,
They may never
they may never be able to do that retrieval process, especially in the young visual development. Even as they tell us in research, when you're reading to children, and you know how we move the book like this to show them pictures, they can't visually track like that. You need to hold it here, and then hold it here. So there are stabilize on that visual configuration first. Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Well, and it's that the intentionality of what we do,
Yes.
like we're always going through the motions, we need to be thoughtful of them. Yeah. Okay. Are we going into some more of the materials? Okay, can we take let's take a break.
Yes.
Let's take a break.
So come back in about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I know.
Like a chart, you could flip.
You know,
Like
we're
if we're
stage.
So magnetic.
Because
I did spas for fun. I went and did but then when I did, I felt really guilty. So I went and had a coach on Hobby Lobby and I bought all my cats. Yeah, square pineapple. So I sat in lunch and I really felt
Did you really?
And she goes, you're easy. Yes, I did. And butters and flat, like you would say, they use them up. I mean, that's really First, yeah, probably something I agree with.
You're high frequency.
Yeah.
Perfect. But I lost it.
Oh, I've seen that one.
What if you did
Backwards.
and then try to do whatever. That was the
What do they think like
Well, there was labels too, actually.
I have some on my pictures too, like I want to show it to people. Oh my gosh, you can read yours too. Yesterday, he said, it's sticky. Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so then the real thing is like,
Oh, no, maybe we Try it. Try it, and then let's hear how it works. Did you do that first?
Angela Fisher was.
No, it's in my
Gosh, terminology for Webster up here.
I know. Midnight tonight.
Go back to,
This level is.
I've seen that, yes, I've seen that.
what are you watching?
I haven't seen this.
I'm
going it down.
I would use that because I have kids that are like J's, K's, I's, I just,
Three pinning, yeah. For their
Three
level,
pinning
that's
things.
considered level for kids. Because they move, you know, I mean, we do level, you know, over 3 times a year, but they move, you know, with a small group, you know, then they. Oh, that's right. That are all those little. That's cute. Yeah, this is the right
How are you doing this summer?
Our air conditioning went out, Deb. I've been so miserable, we haven't had air conditioning all summer, and so.
It hasn't been so hot lately.
No, but Kurt's in Portland, and I'm trying, I'm dying, I'm just dying. And so I'm trying to get it set up, but then this one just got class till 5 every day, because they took the academy room 2 in the afternoon. So I just want to get them started, I just want to get them the money so that they can get it in.
I'm such a visual.
And so the guy just called finally, I called last week, I got somebody to come in and give us an estimate, and he said, he emailed it to us, and I waited all week last week, I'm like, I just wanted it in. And so, he emailed it,
I go to the
Walmart
Walmart doesn't have a great selection.
Okay, so he just said, oh, I'm sorry, I spelled it wrong, so.
Well, then
Like, I've called 4 other companies, now I have like 4 people calling me to figure out who I'm gonna go with. I just want somebody to get it in,
When
I
they're
can do it
all
first, I don't care who.
When they slide it up.
You wanna get it in because you know we don't have it.
I know, it's
Or
already
it's
6 degrees.
Because they're hot.
I think it's down on the other end, I'm just gonna walk down there.
I grounded it, but I
In the
didn't.
boardroom?
Okay, I like
It's
that.
hot, it's.
Right. I did some fun ones with my husband said, why don't you use these are fun, that, you know, they have the crayon. They have the crayon.
Yeah.
So I did do some just individual ones, so you can have a set.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, when June started, I got a project done every single day.
no, not
I know.
really.
And I make pop tops. I save all pop tops, and I make pop. You know how like they know I actually snap. What are the labels? I just forget where I put them. Anyway, print out, she's got all the groups. And this should be optional. Print them out in the backs. You put 2 + 1 on top. And then 3 on bottom. And then the kids can pop, and then you make some pop ones. We take them out and they can answer it, record it. So then keep it, and then you can pop, or boom, whatever. And then you can back with bubble. Oh, I bet it makes sense, but I have, oh, here, I have that. That was a freebie. And it's in Spanish and English. There you go. It's just the label that ordered off of Amazon, so. And I just use the small caps. Well, I order it from Amazon because nobody sells them here. And it's just the white for crossed. 54008 or something.
How you come see the bottom caps, maybe get another increase in safety.
Oh, okay. And then I made a set for Nathan's teacher as a gift. She's a big recycler. So yeah, you just set it and print it. It's 4 by 6 by 1. Just taking that, so they've got, and then they order like, I store some in ice cream containers, so it's like all about recycling, it's all about recycling. So, and they have labels, how she has it set up is the kids can track themselves, like time themselves if you want to do that, but I haven't done that. Or you can make it a challenge, or like you build a photo sheet, how many they can do that. Additional labels, so yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
So this is on
basically-
the outside, the 1+1.
Yep, the inside is through too. And then there's all the way through division. And and so then what I did was, when you click print, I just print pages 17 through whatever. Then you have to go into your properties and send it to a 4x6. And I just take my 4x6 labels, put it in and follow me, and then print it out. Kids love them, because then I make the proper boom. Oh, I have to follow that. And just practice. That's what I practice.
No?
And